recording going. I want to look at what good news is, what great joy is, as we go into this joyous and sometimes hectic holiday season. In the Jewish faith, as many of you already know, Hanukkah is approaching. It begins on December 12th this year, and it runs through December 20th. And for Jews, this is the Festival of the Lights, celebrating the miracle which unfolded during the time of rededication, when only enough oil for one day was available in the temple, in the holder of the lamp of the candle. Yet the candles in that temple burned for 8 days. People of all faiths the world over celebrate solstice on December 21st, when the sun shines directly over the Tropic of Capricorn. In the northern hemisphere, we call that the winter solstice. In the southern hemisphere, it's called the summer solstice. So solstice is the time when the sun is at its greatest distance from the celestial equator. Beginning December 26th and running through January 1st, it's the celebration of Kwanzaa, which is an African-American tradition. The word Kwanzaa means first fruits of the harvest. In a language you probably have never heard of before, I certainly hadn't, it's called Kiswahili. Kiswahili. And it's a time of reaffirming the harvest. And of course, in the Christian faith, it's the season when the birth of Jesus is celebrated. People of faith the world over are in celebration throughout the Western world, at least. And throughout the Western world, the celebration of Christmas has become a time to exchange gifts, to eat and drink, sometimes with abandon, to practice various acts of goodwill toward others, and to bolster the economy by spending lots of money. So, what's the image of the season that you choose to experience? Because each of us gets to choose. Choose how we intend to experience this. Here's how one person chose. It was the Christmas season, and the judge was in a merry mood as he asked the prisoner, "What are you charged with?" And the defendant looked at him and shrugged his shoulders and said, "Doing my Christmas shopping early." "Well, that's no crime," said the judge. "How early did you do your shopping?" And he said, "Before the store opened." So many people have the idea that in order to experience this image, which has been created for what we call the Christmas season now, that they must amass and distribute material things. Now, there's nothing wrong with sharing with those you care about, but it's not worth going to jail for, that's for certain. So please, when you do your shopping, make sure it's not before the store opens. So what is the image that you choose to experience this year related to sharing your good? What is your good news to the world, your great joy? I discovered a few years ago that even though my children were grown and were in homes of their own, even though at that time my children always got plenty, my grandchildren as well as my children got plenty of gifts from parents. Even though I went to their houses for the holiday, so I didn't have to cook or clean or prepare, in spite of all those wonderful blessings, I would get very stressed during the holidays. I didn't enjoy the crowds. I didn't enjoy the traffic. I didn't enjoy the prospect of credit card debt for months to come. And I worried that the presents I got for the grandchildren would not be what they wanted, or that they already had two or three of the things I had selected. I grumbled that I had been dieting for months and would gain all that weight back, especially eating turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and gravy and pumpkin pie and whipped cream, and on it goes. Any of that sound familiar to any of you? Anyone else ever experienced these things that I'm describing? Yeah, of course not. So, but usually by the time Christmas came around, I was tired. I was grouchy, and I was frequently sporting a cold or the flu. Then one day, I got the message. I was reliving the ghost of Christmas past, to steal a phrase from Charles Dickens, maybe Darwin too. Those kind of slips are never a mistake. I was reverting to my previous consciousness level when I did all those things because I felt obligated to do them. This is what you do, Virginia, at Christmas time. I had been reverting to a previous level of consciousness without even realizing it. Talk about good news. Well, thank you, God, for that wake-up call. No mistake there. That message undoubtedly had been available to me all along the way. And eventually, I got it. So gradually, I began to change that consciousness. I began to look at the blessings. One of the things I started doing was shopping through the mail order catalogs and online, as well as an occasional trip to the mall. You know, sometimes you need to check out what's available before you order online, right? Or try the size on, or whatever. And I started doing all of this before the 20th of December. I began to observe more closely what my grandchildren enjoyed playing with or wearing. I still do that, only now I do it on Facebook. What they're playing with or wearing. And I always now save sales slips for exchange. So I don't have to worry about if it's the perfect right thing that they've never had before. Because there's an envelope that if they need to exchange it, they can. I stopped making buying a contest so that gifts had meaning for each individual, not just high price tags. I began exercising more, starting earlier in the year, before the holiday season, rather than in January when all of that eating had already been converted to the extra pounds. And in my daily spiritual work, my prayer treatment time, I declared for myself the joy, the pleasure, the happiness, the good health, and the peace that were my intentions for this time of the year. I declared my gratitude for the activities of the season and the wonderful people who make them possible. So gradually, that tension and anxiety has abated, but the anticipation and the excitement remain. I love the Christmas season. Those of you who've been here the last few weeks already know that. Whether you're at my house or you're here, I love the Christmas season. The smells, the sounds, the music, the connection with others. For me, these are good news. They are great joy. And they're the image that I wish to experience. So here's a cute story I'd like to share with you. Little boy went to church on Sunday morning, and when he came home, he had a new perspective on the Christmas story. He had learned all about the wise men from the East who brought gifts to the baby Jesus. He was so excited that he had to tell his parents about it. He said, I learned in Sunday school today all about the first Christmas. There wasn't a Santa Claus way back then. So these three skinny guys on camels had to deliver all the toys. And then he said, and Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer wasn't there yet either. So they had to have this big spotlight in the sky to find their way there. So here's a young man who found a way to bridge the gap between the biblical accounting of the meaning of the season with what his eyes and ears had created in the way of an image of what Christmas means. I not only was amused by this story, I'm encouraged by this active young mind. This creative child put a whole new spin on living in a time when some of the things that we've heard of for generations perhaps, or even centuries, don't really relate to life as we know it and live it in today's world. So why not enjoy the stories of Santa Claus, of the elves, of the exciting activities at the North Pole this year? Why not enjoy the music that reminds us of visions of sugar plums, or walking in a winter wonderland, or of days that are merry and bright? And as we experience these images, we can also, if we choose, remember the story of a small, innocent child born to modest parents under very trying circumstances. A child of whom great expectations were predicted. A child who, as it grew to adulthood, studied and learned to become a responsible member of society. An adult who served mankind even when it wasn't a popular thing to do. And what I've just described to you is the image that most parents have about their own child when it's born. What I've described is the image most of us bring with us from our own childhood into our adult years. There are many wonderful stories in the Bible for us to experience and relate to the world around us. But that's the important thing, that whether we are experiencing stories from the past or life experiences from the past, that they relate to the world around us now. That whether we are experiencing stories from the past or life experiences from the past, that they relate in ways which enable us to talk and to live with anticipation and excitement, with goodness and joy. So this year, choose to find meaning for yourself in the holiday season. During your spiritual practices each day, heighten your awareness of the richness of your heritage, of the joy of your present existence, and the excitement of what your holidays now mean and look like to you. Remember that the story of the birth of Jesus is the story of the birth of the Christ consciousness in each of us. That consciousness of peace, that consciousness of universal oneness, of balance, of harmony in the indwelling presence. And find strength in your heightened understanding. Stand in your power. Stop caving into ideas or activities or beliefs that no longer have meaning to you. So now I'd like to share with you some affirmative statements that came to me as a gift some time back, and I'd like to share those with you. Clear the way to make all things new in your life. Clear the way to create an entirely new experience. The experiences of your choice. create new traditions, the kind of holidays that you want. Know that you can create whatever you choose in life. Know that you are ready, willing, and able to release and let go of the past. To release any and all of the old fears, the old ideas of how things are supposed to be. To let go of old, outmoded ideas that no longer serve you. You can let go of others' expectations. Communicate with grace and ease. Communicate with those you love to create an entirely new experience. Allow love to create the experience of your choice. Let love go before you to clear the way. Connect with that Christ consciousness. Rejoice in it and allow love to be the guiding force in your life. Allow yourself to create and to have peace, harmony, joy, happiness, and love this entire holiday season. Take these feelings forward into your life in all of your days, even after the new year. You are surrounded by and immersed in infinite good. So open your heart. Accept it into your life, right here, right now. Reverend Lloyd Strom describes it this way: perfection is not in form, it's in expression. At this time of the year, I think this has very special meaning to us. To me, it says that how I choose to celebrate, that is to experience the joys of the season, is the good news for me. It may be through gift giving. It may be through charitable contributions. It may be through volunteer service at a hospital or an assisted living home. It may be through sending Christmas cards. Remember those? I still have a couple of friends who send Christmas cards. And I so enjoy getting them that they still have a very special meaning. Calling friends, as compared to texting or emailing or Facebooking, call them. Or in today's world, FaceTime them. So that you have the eye contact and the facial expressions that you can share back and forth. Another way of celebrating this season is to entertain family, friends, neighbors with an open house, sharing the decorations that you've chosen from your home. So what is your image of the season? Do you like it? Do you want to pursue it? Do you want to preserve it? Or do you want to replace it with something that brings you more joy, more peace, more satisfaction? Remember, the perfection is in the expression. So you have those choices. Allow yourself to express the image that you choose to experience this year. Allow yourself to express the perfection within you. As Dr. Holmes says, act as if it is, and it will be. What a wonderful gift to give yourself. What a miracle of life. Fear not. I bring you good news of great joy. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.